This week on Hermitcraft.
Why is it the Winter Olympics, every time I turn it on, it's curling? It's just always curling. That's all it is. Don't they know that there's so many other cool things? Why is it always curling?
Skiz, check yourself. That's Ethos Heritage you're talking about right there, okay?
Curling might be the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm glad it's all they show for the Olympics.
Welcome to the Hermitcraft recap. My name is Pixel Riffs. Our writer is Sly XP. Captions on this video were provided by Liara, and we didn't have enough time to edit down our own B00 video out of his cameos before he uploaded his own. Too bad. It would have been pretty funny. We also don't have enough time to drag out this week's intro, so let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week.
Boy, I love this game. Whoa!
Starting with B00, who is back in a blaze of glory. Or perhaps that's just the fire from his basalt generator.
Now watch this!
The basalt's on fire.
Why is the basalt catching on fire?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
As he explains to Etho over the crackling sound of a burning forest, B-Dubs plans to expand his moss factory to several times the size, allowing for more bone meal production than ever before. Because his true passion is apparently flower farming, or at least that's the excuse he gives Joel Smallish Beans when he swings by to become B-Dubs' best friend. B-Dubs' actual best friend, the horse, manages to survive the encounter unscathed.
What, when I said, hey, bestie in chat?
Yes, I froze in my tracks.
Surrounding the stacked up moss-growing platforms, B-Dubs builds a ruined tower in a style that definitely tickles the Elden Ring part of my brain, and somehow the inside doesn't end up burning down, despite all the exposed wood and lava in close proximity to one another. And for those of you who are preparing your dad came back from buying the milk jokes, he promises he's not your dad.
What's Daddy got? Daddy's got... I promise I'll never call myself Daddy ever again. That was weird.
So this week we find out that Zedaf never learned that all bosses playthrough doesn't mean all bosses at the same time. For another custom advancement, Zed makes it his goal to summon and fight all 3 boss bard encounters in the game, the Ender Dragon, the Wither, and a Pillager raid. Cubfan135 is also there, though his boss bard didn't display for some reason.
Hey Zed, how's it going?
Okay, so this one is called Boss Boss Boss. Can you guess at all from the title?
I see, okay. Yeah, fantastic.
In fact, Cubfan is, in a way, pivotal to the whole experience, given that it's his turbo slab of the central end island that the showdown takes place in, and takes advantage of. The raid pillagers all look very confused and lost in the dimension. Really, the whole challenge is missing the Warden and the Elder Guardian for the complete how did we get here vibe. A sentiment that will be shared by XB Crafted when he finds Cubfan's other pet project under the stairs in his base. Because during one of iJevin's patented collab hangouts, Cub and Jevin stop by to build themselves a secret clubhouse in XB's giant base. One of the few secret Cubfan hideouts that were actually caught on camera at all.
Congratulations, Cub, you just got a new base.
Woo,
What's mine is yours. W.
Other highlights of Jevin's 22 minutes of collab footage include him bullying Etho, as well as him DMing Scar Deltass, which I guess means that his ass is dealt. This must be a welcome reprieve for Jevin, who has been stuck in the Project Grind Hell ever since he decided to flatten out the seafloor and converted it all to mud blocks, which means not only covering the whole thing in dirt underwater, but also right-clicking it all again with bottles at some point.
And so we're like in the 750,000 block range for this project alone.
As for the Cubfan haunting the narrative, he's actually not too far away, working out the Nautilus race course. He begins, fittingly, at the beginning, with the starting gates for the race, which is a project that gets away from him really quickly, given how high the Nautilus can jump out of the water.
All we gotta do is flick this lever up here, and these close gates, bam, become open pretty much instantaneously.
Many a slime and honey are used to make sure the whole gate opens at once, just to make sure that the racers can do whatever opening move they want. Granted, they don't do it on the 2 gates at the ends, because those ones lead directly into a wall, pretty much. The web of public transit is once again improved when Gemini Tay realizes that her new nether hub is actually only confusing the server mates more, not less, and decides to do something about it.
Oh, look, there's stuff down here. Oh, never mind. We're not going to go that way. Where do I go? Wait, if I want to go to my place, no, I want to go over here. Oh.
Admittedly, the current tube layout for the hub is a cross, but the whole team just doesn't seem to figure out across from what, so Gem has to elongate the central tunnels as well as signpost them as clearly as she can for the people who are used to just flying directly to the portal for 2 seasons.
This is also the area off the entrance where I can put armor stands of the hermits who live here, basically like along the wall, so that you can easily see exactly where you're going. Hopefully, in theory, hermits can't read.
The trouble for her is also that by now she's just too cathedral-minded to just put down a hallway, so the clerestory gets real complicated, not to mention how the arcade is almost entirely occupied by the Azumavoid statue.
That works.
Okay, Zuma,
Oh,
I guess
my.
you live here.
It's actually pretty cool looking.
Naturally, the architecture is leaking from her own base, and it's hard to snap out of the Bloodborne mode once you've spent however many hours on the Notrius Dam on the server. Thankfully, random passers-by keep showing up to give her even more blocks to put into the base mana, so there's no reason to wind down her ambitions, really.
That is lovely. Okay, and best part about building a symmetrical build, I get to do that 4 times.
Removing blocks as a group has been a common pastime this season, and Joe Hills has been there for almost all of it, which, given his track record from last season, isn't entirely out of character. So Joe is part of the Netherhub excavation crew, and even finds a good use for all that netherrack, smelting it into bricks he can use to build the lighting grid for his TV studio.
And then we have something over there. That's just where my brain is going.
Joe is also there as Etho demonstrates how to climb walls with wind charges, a technique he takes to much quicker than the other hermits, but perhaps Spider's Joe is an outlier and should not be counted.
Nice.
Hey, there he goes. Nice.
Natural born wall climber.
Yep, I'm a regular Peter Parker.
What we will count is the 11 stacks of dispensers he gives away after connecting his skeleton farm up to a crafter in the hopes of finding good uses for all those discarded bows. And to celebrate Mardi Gras, he creates a parade float from which to dispense with them all. Naturally, the first person to show up to that party is Doc M77, and the second is Tango. By this point, Doc has all his storage filters sorted and is ready to knock out some top-tier minigames, so he returns to the shopping district to complete the core mechanics of his Shulker game, which incidentally is one of the first minigames of its kind where building the thing is on hard mode, because you've got to teleport-proof everything as you go to make sure the targets don't just decide to leave. Good thing it's trivial for Doc to just capture a Johnny Vindicator, a zombie, and a witch to make sure the machine can produce infinite poison potions and rack up the shulkers for a one-hit kill.
That thing's looking nice. Oh yeah.
But aside from a few minor disasters where some blocks weren't made uncomfortable enough for shulkers to rest on, playtesting goes very well, and Doc builds up a frozen, shulker-themed surround for the game before he can move on to the finishing touches. He also finally gets an excuse to use his other favourite minigame, see how long it takes Scar to take fatal damage, after Scar spears him. So it's a good week for flexing your redstone on people.
Oh my god, this is so bad, guys.
Get in there, dude. What are you?
Guys,
You're
help.
getting beat up by something. What's happening?
Oh, I understand now.
Hypnotized, for example, goes out of his way to incorporate lava bucket heating into his super smelter, which means that the buckets need to be auto-fed into the system, as well as auto-removed from the output chest. And that's not to mention the refilling the buckets, which cannot be done automatically, but smelting a stack and a half of material has to be worth right-clicking like 1 time.
So yeah, we have our bamboo farm going on over here. There's quite a lot of bamboo in here. I wonder if it just harvested. Or maybe there's something broken.
In case any of those lava buckets escape containment, Pearlescent Moon has been looking for ways she can be more efficiently summoned to the site of a fire, which is why, as we got a preview of last week, she has started building Firewatch towers at different players' bases. Each one contains an Ender Pearl stasis chamber that can summon both Pearl and Deputy Firefighter Impulse at the click of a trapdoor. And if nothing else, they're improving the cell phone service in those hard-to-reach areas.
But I can't hear you, and that's quite awkward.
Hello, hello.
Oh, now I can. Hi.
Sorry.
You just stared at me while I slept. That was so awkward.
Pearl also makes it her mission to keep up with firefighting technology suggestions from the comments, but this week her ambitions are thwarted both by how unlucky she gets with trial chamber loot, and then the fact that wind charges simply don't put out fires at all. But then again, you can't propel yourself through the air with a fire extinguisher. Unless you're Wally. Or I guess unless you're Etho, who has been using fire resistance potions as HUD countdown timers for how long it'll be before an Ender Pearl teleports him home. This is wired up to his player launcher, which is also a Make Tango Giddy device.
What just happened? Hey, you have a good launch.
this. I'm hyperventilating over here.
And has gathered enough enthusiasm from the rest of the server that he agrees to build another one on the mountaintop near the shopping district. In case the resulting momentum splats someone into the side of a distant mountain, he provides a recovery compass at the shopping district spawn so that it can point them to their latest mishaps, and the much more mundane lodestone compasses can be used as directional aids if you want to find, say, the Mushroom Island.
You should make a subscription service out of it.
I thought about doing that. I got to get people hooked first, and then I'll consider it.
He also implements a way to move players a lot more slowly if they visit his base. Adding to the dystopian future vision with a couple of slime block flying machines, he time-lapses a junction in his base that ends up as a pedestal for a rocket sculpture loosely inspired by Fallout, with cargo barges that go back and forth at much more pedestrian speeds. Especially if you're a guy who's used to being warped around a trial chamber in a matter of seconds.
When you stutter before a sentence, it doesn't instill so much hope, Etho.
Gem, I'm teleporting. My time's up.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
What? What kind of superpower?
Much of the server seems to be assessing its transport requirements, and XB Crafted is no exception. He's been using so many rockets for his next-second delivery service that he opts to build his own firework factory instead of spending all his diamonds at the shopping district.
And now, we have a supply of sugarcane. Okay?
After putting together farms for gunpowder and sugarcane at his base, he sets up an auto-crafter that manufactures and boxes the rockets, and naturally the first thing he does is gift a bunch to someone else.
This is a robbery.
But after some time, it's evident that the creeper farm is running much faster than the paper factory, so he implements an automatic off switch for the gunpowder output and triples his sugarcane production. And if that doesn't balance things out, he probably won't have to wait long for someone who needs a bunch of gunpowder.
That shouldn't be that way. That should be off right now. I don't know how that happened.
Azuma Void can't hear you. He has headphones on, which means you can add muffled death metal music to all his videos for a more immersive experience.
Oh, you're gonna need those. Oh, don't ask questions.
Yeah. You got the...
No, I said I was gonna tell you to. Oh, so I was giving him those, and I was instructing you to give the command. Sorry, you're right.
I can't hear you guys. Sorry, what are you saying?
With his passion for banging tunes rediscovered, X returns to his music disc Creeper Sweeper to pick up a fresh shipment of in-game soundtrack and put it into his new shop, the Vinyl Vault, which doesn't sound too secure given that vinyl melts easily. The shop is really just an excuse for him to show off his disc collection, so it's located at Azuma's own base, much to the relief of the shopping district's frame rate since X used a bunch of invisible armor stands to slot his tunes into the looms. Actually, it's not as bad as it could have been, since instead of holding the ovals individually, the armor stands are holding custom 3D models of multiple discs each that Azuma forced himself to learn Blockbench to make. Guys, I don't mean to alarm you, but the Hoffen is spreading.
Anyway, this was really easy and intuitive to use. I did have a little bit of help in the process, but if ever you wanted to create your own Minecraft models, check out Blockbench.
Even the Allays have been bit by that particular bug, as we see in Rendog's video where they've learned to read. Within the Arcane Library, now the centerpiece of a road network, it makes sense that the assistant librarians are just as magical as the surrounding literature.
Boop, give me back that rabbit corpse, and why don't you spend your time more productively? Reading? Is that not the most amazing thing?
You've heard of landscaping, but given that Ren reclaims land from the ocean for his magical district, we may as well start calling it geomancy. He's even infusing a little magic into the roads themselves, although some might describe it as cursed, because he creates a diamond ore slab thanks to some armor stand sleight of hand.
Yeah, it also means that nobody can actually mine this diamond block. Check it out. If they try and mine it, it remains. Oh, the magic, the whimsy.
And after a very lore-filled time-lapse, Ren introduces us to the architectural style he plans to adopt for the housing in this district, a tough-centric stone cottage with a very whimsical roof.
But yes, still some work to do on the interior. Of course, there is nothing going on inside here. Ooh, other than a very angry Skellington.
Skizzleman opens with a rhyming introduction. What is this, a Joe Hills episode? They certainly share a storage system design, so the similarities are piling up. Much like the shulker boxes, Skizz assembles into a giant pillar with hoppers to eventually squeeze everything into the right chests. His next obstacle is grappling with minecart physics, although he strains to figure out how he's going to decorate the tunnel.
And then we were like, oh, we don't like that. Let's make it moss. So they did this.
The special effects, though, are where the experience of investigating one's ego are really going to shine. With the other hermit's consent, Skiers goes around the server recording natural conversations he can clip and add to noteblock sounds, so the player on this minecart ride can hear snippets of dialogue as they're shuffled around the room. That's not the only thing he's gleaning from his server mates, as the Nether Hub fog effect encourages him to try his own layered glass design in the basement of his storage room, which after a time lapse is many times the depth of the storage space itself.
I don't know if that's something I'm going to do. I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm probably going to ditch that idea. I'm going to do the walls first and see how I feel. And then we'll get to that sort of... Oh!
And if you think he's juggling a lot of projects, that's just one of the many things he can juggle. Like Mangrove, for example, now that Hoffen has provided him with a way other players can signal they've earned a free pass to infinite mangrove wood.
That's it. That means that you have a season pass to the mangrove. You take whatever you need and just...
You know when the cartoon character hits their head and they get the stars popping out of their head? It's like that.
And finally, he's Mumbo.
I'm Mumbo, and I'm chuffed to bits. And bits and chuff. I don't understand the lingo, but he's around here somewhere.
And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is SloyXP and my name is Pixel Riffs. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.